A summer Saturday morning in Newcastle, and 3 choirs from 3 different northern English cities are meeting for the first time. By way of introduction, each choir sings a short piece to the others.
She, on the ever, walks to count her steps. 18 strides and she stops to abide by the law that she herself has set.
It's the culmination of a 6-month-long project that will form part of the opening weekend of the Great Exhibition of the North. A season of events highlighting and celebrating the cultural and creative heritage of the North.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Something good you can do, something, get off your ass. Get off your ass. Get off your ass. Get off your ass.
The 3 choirs, Manchester's all-female she choir, Stockton's all-male infant Hercules and Yorkshire's commoners choir, have been rehearsing in their separate bases across the North, hoping to come together to perform a 7-minute choral piece that sings of the North they know, its places, its people, its language and its history.
Get off your ass. Get off your ass. Get off your ass.
The song, called True North, is written by former Chumbawamba guitarist Boff Waller. Its lyrics pieced together from conversations and ideas gathered from members of all 3 choirs. The 3 choirs have never sung the piece together until today. They will each walk a separate route through Newcastle, singing along the way, and will arrive together across the Tyne in Gateshead, ready to sing, facing the city outside the Sage Concert Hall. It will be the song's one and only public performance. True North began life the previous summer, when Boff heard there was to be a great exhibition of the North. Along with Josh Sutton and Jane Morland of Commoners Choir, he'd already been talking about the idea of writing a song that highlighted the peculiarities of their home in the north of England, and the exhibition seemed tailor-made for a project that could match their idea with the greater ambition of combining forces with choirs across the region. Boff had previously worked with She Choir several years earlier in a collaboration at Manchester Museum and had ongoing links with the Stockton-based Infant Hercules Choir. Combining the very different styles of these 2 choirs with the eclectic and outspoken Commoners Choir from Leeds seemed like the perfect way to tell the diverse and broad story of the North and do it in song. During the early months of 2018, Boff, Jane and Josh spent time with members of all 3 choirs, collecting and recording their ideas of just what constitutes the North, asking questions, encouraging discussion and trying to discover the essentials of what Northerners think of their home in the North. The resulting collection of post-it notes, scribbled jokes and taped conversation was eventually boiled down into a rough idea of a song, pieced together as fragments of ideas and given a structure that could hold together in one piece of music. The song was to involve the 3 choirs taking separate harmonic roles without hearing the voices of the other choirs until they met to perform at the Great Exhibition.
And in within the other part is a 2 or 3.
It's March, and Boff, Jane and Josh are in Manchester to introduce the She Choir to the basic idea of the song.
So She Choir Manchester is a choir for anyone who identifies as female, and the best thing about the choir is that anyone can lead any part of it, so we've got different women teaching each week.
At this early stage, it's hard to tell if the whole thing will pull together, and considering the huge differences between the 3 choirs, it's tricky to imagine how harmonies and dynamics will knit together into a coherent whole.
Should I just do a line at a time? Yeah.
She Choir, normally run collaboratively, but for this, led by Ros and Genevieve, are more than happy to embrace the job.
So we walk, sing, and then walk and final sing.
So it'll be singing on the aria, so we're all together at 2.
Great.
Over the next few weeks, they'll be expected to learn their parts on their own, with little idea of how the piece will sound overall. The first rehearsal is a little easier up in Stockton, where the singers of the infant Hercules choir, fresh from the downstairs bar, are eager to give it their all. Leader, Mike McGrother, has worked with Boff before, but infant Hercules, the choir of working men brought together by Mike following the collapse of the region's steelworks, are bemused by this notion of working with choirs they've never met on a song they've never heard.
The grit we have in common, right around the earth, that divide us, smiling cutters.
As if to give an extra air of bewilderment to the whole thing, the BBC are along to film too, for a BBC documentary on the Great Exhibition of the North.
So there we go, that's our first rehearsal of True North complete by Infant Hercules, Teesside's one and only pub-based choir. Had a great time singing Boff's lyrics. It's going to be an amazing event in June, and I think we're bringing our own identity, our own Teesside grit to the whole thing. So really looking forward to it, all the lads are, and we'll see you in June. Cheers.
The choir is just an opportunity for a bunch of guys to come together and have a very social time, and we sing. And it's really more than the choir, it actually becomes a band of brothers. Everybody gets on really well and everybody supports each other. And then we come together to sing a fantastic song like we just heard tonight, which really just makes you proud of being part of this whole process.
Here's the sound of spinning jenny.
Back in Leeds, Commoners Choir struggled to learn the third section of the song. It doesn't help that they know that the other two choirs have been successfully rehearsing their parts for a couple of weeks. Eventually, it starts to make sense, and the song begins to take real shape.
We walked across the earth, a compass for a heart. The needle points to north. True north. Points to north. True north. Points to north. True north.
I think it's about being angry but also hopeful. Yeah. And we're not just moaning and complaining. We're a force for change as well, and hopefully giving people hope that if you get together and stick together, there is a different future out there.
And it's not just politics, it's land, it's food, it's people. It's much broader than just politics.
Homelessness.
Homelessness.
I think that is politics.
That is
all, yeah.
It's all politics. It's everything.
Okay.
Oh, wow! That kind of choir.
3 weeks to go until the exhibition opens, and the True North project seems to be coming together smoothly. But as Jane, Josh and Boff travel back to Yorkshire from a trip to the exhibition's launch in Gateshead, things are about to go off the rails.
But in this case, in a time when weapons manufacturers, or in fact their shareholders, benefit so heavily from civil wars, nuclear weapons proliferation and personal gun use, we feel that as artists we couldn't justify working under the shadow of BAE's reputation. So there we're at the launch of the Great Exhibition of the North, bringing together all the artists that are going to be involved in the project for the first time in the kind of setting.
And then we grabbed a goodie bag.
Then we grabbed a goodie bag and then we kind of peered in like inquisitive kids and to discover that.
Yeah. So we spent an hour and a half, 2 hours on the train wondering, does this mean that BAE Systems are kind of partnering? Are they sponsoring? Yeah. Are they this kind of black cloud descending on us as we got back to Leeds thinking, oh no, what do we do now?
I just remember
Early next morning, they explain the situation to the choirs and further make it clear that we'll have to pull out of the whole event. All three choirs back them up. Boff rings the exhibition organisers and explains they can't and won't perform under a BAE Systems banner.
And so there's like a group of artists who formed because of that, called Art Not Arms.
A whole movement, wasn't it, really?
Lots of artists from all over the place who basically became active and involved and put all their energy into this, and it was brilliant actually, feeling this sense of solidarity and people joining together to try and oppose something.
And the press and the media picked it up reasonably quickly.
Yeah. And that was basically a week. That was quite an intense week. I was completely shocked basically to read that BAE had pulled out. Obviously, a lot of talk had been going on behind the scenes, and they just
I thought you were joking.
Yeah,
when
it was
you
like
did,
a spoof.
Yeah, when you
You've
said
not really done it.
That's one of yours. No, it's Bob said I'm not having that. And then
You're like,
they pulled out.
I was so happy. I was really happy because it meant that we kind of had to stand up for what we believed in, but it had worked, and I just felt so much more connected to what we were doing after that.
Saturday 23rd of June, and the 3 choirs gather at Northern Stage in Newcastle. All 3 choirs have now had a month to learn their sections of the song, and everyone is looking forward to finally getting to sing the piece together with other singers. There's a palpable sense of nervousness and tension, but mixed with a relief and joy that the whole thing has finally come together. It feels not unlike a first date. Tentative laughter, self-consciousness and bravado mixed together with those northern flat-vowelled accents. The room is practically electric with anticipation. When the 3 choirs head off through the city, stopping at pre-arranged points to sing, it's a walking, singing precursor to the combined performance. She choir heads south through Newcastle city centre, singing at Gray's Monument and in the Gothic elegance of St Nicholas Cathedral. Commoners' choirs skirt the east of the city, heading towards the Tyne. They stop and sing in the Biscuit Factory Art Gallery.
The choir was singing and we came over, and I just love music that is ordinary, common music that is about people and people's lives. I must say I ended up in tears because it just moved me so much.
Meanwhile, infant Hercules head off round the west of the city and immediately break ranks by factoring in several pub stops along the way. Their last stop before the Sage is Newcastle train station. All 3 choirs cross the river as the audience gathers at the Sage.
Yeah, really good.
And it was brilliant the way the 3 choirs came together, singing different parts. I really enjoyed it. That song, and I'm going to get all choked up again, absolutely got me, absolutely amazing. And I know, I mean, Bob Foley's a brilliant songwriter, but that just captured so much about the North and being in the North.
We're really proud to be from the North. Listening to that choir just absolutely amazing.
The song went down really well, I think, because it strikes a chord with a lot of people in this part of the country, definitely.
It's a great thing to talk about the North in such a way in a song that encompasses everything the North is all about.
Grit the stone beneath us, grit to say we dare, grit that built our cities, grit the badge we wear. Grit the stone beneath us, grit to say we dare, grit that built our cities, grit the badge we wear. By the river, stone beneath us, all night to say we dare, mixing grit that built our cities, after dark the badge we wear. See John Walker, stone beneath us, with common grit to say we dare, change the world that built our city, with a tiny spark, the badge we wear. Here's the spark, to light the fire, here's the roar. compass for our hearts. The needle points to north. Points to north. History's needle points to north. The stone beneath us. Grit to say we dare. Grit that built our cities. Grit the badge we wear.
Along the
Grit the stone beneath us. Grit to say we dare.
Music's
Grit that built our cities.
Hymns
Grit the badge we wear.
Kids who
Grit the stone beneath us.
like
Grit to say we dare.
to change the world.
Grit that built our cities.
With paint and
Grit the badge we wear. Here's the Hear the valley, cut by night.
to limestone. We walked across the earth, a compass for our hearts. The needle points to north.